35 times more tokens. That's what MCP cost you compared to a CLI on the exact same task. And on harder tasks, MCP reliability drops to 72%. CLIs stay at 100%. So here's the thing. 3 years into the MCP era, a lot of people have quietly realized MCP isn't actually the right shape for agentic work. CLIs are. And that's exactly why printing press exists. Now, printing press is two things in one. First, a library of about 50 pre-built CLIs. Linear, Shopify, ESPN, Craigslist, Domino's, you name it. Second, a factory. A Claude code skill that generates brand new CLIs for any tool you point it at, even tools that don't have an API. And the positioning is blunt. Official CLIs from big platforms, they're built for humans, not autonomous agents. Peter Steinberger, the guy behind OpenClaw, ended up writing his own Google wrapper because the official one wasn't fit for agent consumption. Printing press just generalizes that pattern. So there's a hierarchy here. CLI first, API second, MCP last. And the reasons are all about tokens and reliability. Here's why. A CLI returns about 200 tokens of clean, pre-formatted text. Auth is solved once. The CLI holds the token. And it uses lazy discovery, so the agent only loads the commands it actually asks for. MCP? It loads every tool description into your context window on every single session, whether you call them or not. That overhead adds up fast. Here's a real example. 10 community posts. The raw data? About 132,000 tokens. The CLI processed it locally and surfaced a 2,000 token summary to Claude code. That's 130,000 tokens that never touched your context window. That's the whole game. The cheapest tool is the one that does the cleanup before the model sees it. But let's put the full benchmark on screen. Same task. CLI uses 1x tokens. MCP uses 35x. On easy tasks, MCP is at about 95% reliability. Fine. But crank up the difficulty? MCP drops to 72%. CLI stays at 100. Every time. That reliability gap is what kills you in production. Now let's talk about what's already built. The catalog at printingpress.dev has about 50 community CLIs. And the range is honestly kind of wild. Sports and entertainment. ESPN, Flight Goat, Movie Goat, Recipe Goat. Commerce, Amazon, eBay, Craigslist, Shopify, TikTok Shops, Airbnb. Developer tools, linear, GitHub-style wrappers, internal task trackers. And then the weird ones, Domino's, all recipes. Yeah, you can order pizza through a CLI now. The recommended on-ramp is the starter pack. ESPN, Flight Goat, Movie Goat, and Recipe Goat. 4 working CLIs right out of the box. And they double as reference implementations when you start building your own. But here's where it gets interesting. The factory. This is what separates printing press from just being a tool catalog. The workflow is dead simple. Point Claude code at the factory skill. Paste the 3 printing press URLs. Then just describe what you want. Turn the YouTube data API into a CLI. Or, and this is the crazy part, reverseengineerschool.com. I want to fetch posts in the wins category. 10 minutes later, you've got a compiled Go binary, a Claude code skill wrapper, and a local SQLite mirror. And for tools without an API, the factory does deep discovery against the website. It figures out the endpoints on its own. Once it's built, the skill drops into Claude Code's skills registry automatically. So next time you ask what NBA games are on tonight, it just routes through the ESPN CLI. You never even think about it. So what do you actually need to get started? One thing. Go. Google's open source language. Free. About a 1-minute install. That's it. Here's the fastest path. Open Claude Code. Drop in the 3 URLs. Factory, Catalog, Starter Pack. Then just say, help me get this set up. Install whatever I need. The agent tells you to install Go if you haven't, then handles everything else. Total time from 0 to a working ESPN CLI? Under 5 minutes. Once the starter pack is in, the discovery is just natural language. Can you take a look at our printing press library and tell me what we have access to? Claude Code lists what's installed, what's available in the public catalog, and you pick what to add next. Now, the most interesting printing press wins? They're the sites that don't have an API at all. The ones that used to be impossible. ESPN, no public stats API. But the community CLI delivers game schedules and live scores in clean text. Craigslist, no API. Search and post fetching just works. School.com, the factory reverse engineered the whole site. Posts by category, wins, verification links. And Domino's, no ordering API. The CLI wraps the entire order flow. And then there's all recipes. Aggressive anti-scrape protection. The printing press CLI actually uses a real Chrome session under the hood to get through. Now, fair warning. This category of reverse-engineered CLIs is the part to be careful about. The CLI works today, but if the site changes its protections tomorrow, you might need a rebuild. And definitely check terms of service before running these commercially. So does this mean Playwright MCP is dead? No, not even close. They have different lanes. Here's the decision rule. If you'll hit the same operation more than 3 times, build the printing press CLI. If it's a one-shot thing, clicking through a multi-step form, debugging a flaky checkout, capturing a screenshot, drive a browser with Playwright MCP. The 35 token multiplier is the cost of generality. Playwright can do anything in a browser. You're paying for that flexibility, whether you use it or not. Playwright MCP still earns its spot. It gives Claude Code a full browser session, unmatched for visual debugging and one-off browser tasks. So think of it this way. Printing press is the scalpel. Playwright MCP is the Swiss Army knife. Different tools for different jobs. That said, let's be honest about the trade-offs, because there are real ones. And pretending they don't exist helps nobody. First, you need Go installed. Quick, but it's a system-level dependency. Second, the catalog is community-driven. The Starter Pack 4 is solid. A random clone from the catalog might need fixes. Third, and this is the big one, reverse-engineered CLIs are snapshot-in-time tools. School.com works today because the site structure was stable when printing press scraped it. When the site changes, the CLI breaks. Treat these as personal tools, not infrastructure. Also, each CLI wraps one service. If your workflow stitches 5 services together, you still need agent-level orchestration on top. And auth lives on your machine. Some people love that. No third party holds your tokens. But sharing across a team means every teammate sets up their own keys. It's not hard, it's just a step. Now, a question everyone asks, what does this cost? 0. Printing press is open source. The catalog is community maintained. You only pay for the third-party tools you wrap. So if your CLI hits the linear API, You pay linear, not printing press. The tool itself is free. And sharing with a team? Package any CLI into a private GitHub repo. Teammates clone it, swap in their own API keys at runtime, and they're good. You can also push CLIs back to the public catalog if you want to share with the community. So here's the bottom line. Printing press changes the calculus for agent tooling. Not because CLIs are a new idea, they're obviously not, but because the factory makes them accessible to anyone running Claude code. 35 times fewer tokens. 100% reliability, where MCP falls to 72. A factory that builds custom CLIs in 10 minutes, even for sites with no API. And about 50 pre-built CLIs you can clone right now. If you're running Claude code and you've got MCP servers eating your context window every turn, this is worth 10 minutes of your time. Go check it out at printingpress.dev. Full review and all the links are down in the description. And if this changed how you think about agent tooling, hit subscribe. We do this every week.